The Trent University Distinguished Research Award recognizes significant contributions to scholarly research. I'm very pleased to call on last year's winner, Professor Bryan Palmer, to present the 2012 recipient, Professor Jacqueline Soloway. Bryan?
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, Mr. Founding President, and honored graduates. Since 1986, the Distinguished Research Award has been presented annually at Convocation to a member of the Trent faculty. This year's recipient, Professor Jacqueline Soloway, has conducted fieldwork under arduous conditions in Africa for over 30 years and secured an enviable international reputation as an interdisciplinary scholar. In the words of Emory University anthropologist David Nugent, Professor Soloway's research, quote, combines great theoretical sophistication with exceptional richness. A centerpiece of Professor Soloway's intellectual project has been her long-standing expertise in the dynamics of rural change in Botswana. Her co-authored article on foraging and the Kalahari Bushmen, published in 1990 in the prestigious journal Current Anthropology, became the defining statement in an important analytic exchange. It reconfigured how scholars in the historical and anthropological fields have understood an entire stage of human development organized around hunting and gathering. Reprinted in 5 different scholarly collections between 1992 and 2010, Professor Soloway's contribution to what has subsequently come to be called the Kalahari debate is considered both groundbreaking and trend-setting. Addressing important shifts in relations between the sexes, Professor Soloway has called attention to how different marriage and birth patterns in Africa have been affected by the political economy of everyday life. She has stimulated to scholars to think about how top-down interventions aimed at alleviating distress can actually undermine the social capital with which people support fragile ecologies of subsistence. Finally, Professor Soloway has explored the authoritarian tendencies in modern African state formation and the ways in which oppressed groups struggle to counter them. Professor Soloway's high standing in an international community of scholars that has benefited greatly from her contributions appears in her recent editorship of a flagship collection of essays, The Politics of Egalitarianism, Anthropological Theory and Practice. And this stature is also replicated outside the university. Professor Soloway was appointed an accredited independent observer in Botswana national elections in 2004 and has authored numerous policy reports on issues of public health, sustainable development, and environmental management. She served as the lead anthropologist on an International Development Research Center project in Egypt, which investigated changing patterns of resource use among rural populations, and it's been an undertaking described as, quote, amongst the finest examples of applied interdisciplinary research ever conducted by IDRC. A model scholar who has enhanced Trent's reputation through her productivity and through fostering of cooperation among researchers in the developing and developed regions of the world, Professor Soloway is rightly acknowledged today for her accomplishments and her stimulating scholarship. Mr. Chancellor, it gives me great pleasure to present to you for the Distinguished Research Award, Professor Jacqueline Soloway.